Welcome to Crypto-Clothesline. We're glad to be here with you. Hanging out the crypto laundry. Getting all the crypto info for you. Crypto-Clothesline. Crypto-Clothesline.
Let's talk a little bit about why we're doing what we're doing, Amy Rose.
Yes, so our show is about helping women join the blockchain wealth revolution for themselves and for their families.
Our names are Amy Rose-Goode and abheeti-kathryn-pass. We're speakers in blockchain and crypto, and we are on a mission.
And we're learning together with you. We're talking to leaders and experts in the space, exploring cutting-edge technology and projects that are actually shaping the future for our children.
You're going to be hearing about one of those today because we're so excited about the person we spoke to today. But before we do that, we want you to know that this podcast is all about intelligence, although you might question that with some of our conversations, intelligence, growth, and our values are around peace, harmony, and collaboration for the planet.
And that is what all of our guests in this week's episode are also on the path to achieving as well. Because this week, it's not just you and I, it's women from the Blockconscious event all together in one space having a discussion.
We had so much fun in Blockconscious, and Blockconscious was all about bringing together consciousness and blockchain projects.
And there were so many amazing women there. We went there and there was a little bit of lashback, is that what it's called, about the lack of women there. And I'll tell you what, we rustled up some gems.
Some storms.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we did, girlfriend.
Flashback, and you could also think of a splashback in your kitchen or bathroom, but we're not going to go there.
Or laundry.
Yes, I was a tiler for many years. But anyway, yeah, Blockconscious was fascinating. There were so many women, and we did notice that the women, they were speaking at different times, and it wasn't always possible to get down and to listen to all of the different presentations. We missed a lot of guys' presentations and really good guys' presentations, but we made a point trying to be at all the women's presentations.
And that's where we're lucky that we're two people, because if you couldn't make one, I could make one. And if you were interviewing or I was interviewing, one of us would be out on the floor talking with some ladies and watching their presentations.
So what ended up happening completely organically, so this wasn't pre-planned, although I do like what happened, is we gathered together as much of the female genius pool that there was at the event. So we invited as many of the women who were speakers and involved in the event on various levels to come and be together and come onto, we had these very groovy leather couches there that we sort of pushed around and changed, didn't we? We took over an entire corridor.
Yeah, we did.
Including big shh, we're recording signs, because everybody seemed to want to take their personal calls at the end of that particular corridor. However, we brought together all these women that were there. Now, unfortunately, there were some women who couldn't be there on the actual day because either they weren't physically present or that they simply couldn't make it at the time. But the women we did bring together, what a lovely group of girls.
Yeah, and we talked about how we all felt going into this conference. And recently, very, very recently, we heard about a cruise conference where, I don't know actually if you've heard about this, Abheeti, but a certain project had paid for 60 models-escorts to attend this blockchain cruise event.
I read that in the same contentious chat that we had the gaming.
Yeah, a lot of the chats in Telegram groups do get quite deep.
The thing that upset me about that chat was that one man in particular, you know, he's another podcaster, Joshua Marriage. He's a great guy. We met him at Blockconscious as well. But he was talking about the fact that these women were on board and that other men were speaking to them and asking how much Bitcoin for, for a bit of
sexual attention.
Yeah, pretty much. I was going to say something crass, but you did it nicely. Thank you. And he was so disgusted. Even if these girls weren't there as prostitutes, and who knows, they were being treated so poorly by the men on the ship. And not all the men, they were quick to say. But I was dismayed in the Telegram group how many people were just ignoring this repeated reference to the fact that the women were like prizes or trophies on this group.
And this is why going into Blockconscious, I had my guard up. I was ready for what has been rumored to happen at various blockchain and crypto events. And I think all the women who you'll hear in this podcast had an amazing time. And it was just beautiful, this event.
And the way Paul Seals brought it together, and he pretty much gave us an open field. There was a lot of media partners there. We were the only ones physically interviewing people in the space. We were just grabbing people and hoiking them up the stairs and saying, come and talk to us. We just had so many conversations. I was knackered by the end of it. But yeah, the welcome and the opportunity for women to express themselves got richer and richer as the weekend went on.
And the topics that we talk about in this interview, they really vary because we've got Karen-Cohen, who is from the Blockchain Centre. She's the manager
in Melbourne,
I think. Yeah, from the Blockchain Centre in Melbourne. We've got two authors of an amazing book, Love and Money, Embracing the New Economy. Those girls, Kelly and Lisa, awesome chicks. We've got to put the link to their book in the show notes.
Absolutely. Yeah, I loved meeting them. And I just love the way that even now when we're on Twitter or various things, there's quite a few dry, sort of sardonic comments. It sounds like a character out of a Mills and Boon. But those girls have always got something uplifting and sweet to say. Oh, and they left us the best iTunes review.
I know. Like they were good. They did do amazing.
We also had Jo Oxborrow from Dollar.
The interesting thing about Jo is she's been in the crypto blockchain space not very long before she jumped into the Dollar project. So she was only in it for about 6 months and now she's living in Canada. So we spoke to her before she moved to Canada, before the CEO of Dollar realized just how impressive this woman actually is. So he's moved her from Australia over to Canada to spearhead all sorts of aspects to the Dollar project.
And I'm really excited because I think big things are about to happen there. But let's watch this space on that one. And the other person who was there is our very old friend. Now, in crypto terms, anyone you've known longer than 10 minutes is an old friend. But JP goes even beyond that. JP Parker, she calls herself a technology evangelist, and she was actually one of the first people that we interviewed and the first interview that we published on the Clothesline. The thing with JP, she has got such a huge amount of knowledge on such a wide variety of things, and she even manages to make technology sound interesting.
And the future, because heaps of people are crapping their pants about what is, artificial intelligence and all these things. And she does these presentations on how to imagine. I think her presentations are called Imagining the Future. Is that what it's called?
That was the name of the panel discussion we had, Reimagining the Future. But her presentation is called A Day in the Life of the Future, and with the group she looks at a utopian, like a completely positive aspect, and a dystopian, a completely dark and frightening aspect, and she engages with the audience to get them to find a middle road.
Let's have a listen to the conversation, the women on the couch at Blockconscious.
Bringing women to the front.
Well, we're here at Blockconscious and we were super excited. Unfortunately, we don't have all the women that we wanted to have here, but we've got a pretty juicy, gorgeous bunch. And we were really, really excited to make sure that we spoke to all the women who were here speaking, participating, contributing at Blockconscious, because it's about bringing consciousness and blockchain projects together. So let's do a little intro.
Hi, I'm Karen, and I'm from the Blockchain Centre.
And I'm Lisa, I'm one half of the South Love Sisters.
I'm JP, troublemaker at large.
I'm Abheeti and I'm part of Crypto-Clothesline and also Crypto and Kids.
My name's Jo and I work on a new project called Dollar.
I'm Amy Rose and I'm from all those signs. I'm Kelly-Slattery, the other half of the South Love Sisters.
Yeah!
Should be sitting together.
I
thought it was good to be spread out.
We're sharing the love.
Yes.
We're sharing the self-love.
Yes.
So tell me, how has it been for you here as a woman at Blockconscious?
I'll start. It has been fantastic. I just mentioned earlier, coming up to the event, I was thinking what to wear in a block-conscious environment. Knew it was going to be a long day, so I had my sneakers on, but packed my high heels for when I was ready to present. Turned out I didn't bother going with the high heels because I was just so comfortable in this space, which is something that I didn't expect.
Yeah, I was a little nervous. This has been my first sort of fairly new to the crypto space, so I've been working for about 6 months. So I was a little nervous, because I'm still learning a lot of things as well. But meeting you ladies here has been like a blanket, but like a warm blanket if I can't describe it any other way. Beautiful. Although a lot of the men have been amazing also, it just felt like, a nice connection, someone we can relax, share your fears and and, you know, your projects and things like that feel safe and comfortable.
What I'd like to say is what I've noticed is the sort of elevation of perspective and energy that the collective of women that are here have brought, because it is deeply technical and we're in a very sort of engineering phase, and all of us are bringing it back to the human factor almost universally, and that has just been beautiful for me.
Just wanted to mention the Italian dinner party. It's a code word for speak up.
Yes, and kind of what JP was saying here, because what we feel outside of here is that blockchain and cryptocurrency is very male dominated, and the statistics back that. What I found thus being here as a collective is that it has softened the environment, and I think being able to take that out into the world confidently is going to be quite awesome for us.
Yeah, I have to agree with that. I think being a woman in this space, and we're all relatively new, right? So we're afraid to sound afraid to sound stupid, afraid to sound, you know, like we don't know. We don't have to up-one each other. And what's been beautiful in these panels and in these female-led discussions is the touch of humanity over technology. So it's the overlay of feelings and emotions whilst understanding the technology, but not having to prove that we know the technology. And I think that's what I really got from wonderful, supportive women in this space.
Yeah, one of the things that I noticed was a sense, like when we were in the panel, I was listening to these really beautiful responses, and it's not taking anything away from the responses, but some of them felt really highly in the intellectual realm, like they were really based in logic, and it was really clear that it was sort of academic conversations. I was feeling this little hammer of self-attack in my own, you know, conditioned female brain going, oh, what can I say that's really clever? And I went, nah, you know, conversation with yourself. Yes. I was like, whatever's real, because it's fine, just the way it is.
Can I throw in a quote, and it's not demeaning or anything, but there's a quote that says, to teach a man is to teach a man. To teach a woman is to teach a generation. And I think that is what I feel about cryptocurrency, and especially what you're doing with children. We can go out there and teach a generation. And I don't know if it's that men keep it to themselves, but it's that we are powerful is what it is.
Thanks, Beanie, because as soon as you said education, I got really excited, as you know. But I feel like there's a gap, and I feel if we don't educate women, there's going to be a lack of women in the space. If we don't make a soft space for women to land at every event, on every broadcast, that we are going to miss out on sharing this information. And I think that if each of us can go out and be educators ourselves, every single one of us women, and I don't know, not MLM it, but just like, hey, guess what, girlfriend? Here's something amazing. And I think that's what is happening at this event. Like, I looked in the audience and it felt like it was like 50-50 when we were watching that amazing Garrett.
Should we talk a bit more about Garrett? Well, what I think is really important to bring to mind, and we were having this awesome conversation with Anouk from Blockchain Centre as well. Anouk can get deep into it depending on, you know, is that we're not anti-men. We love what the men are doing, and there's a place for men too, but there's a place for women. And it's not about us versus them. It's not about fragmentation and that whole war of the sexes. Not at all. It's just like, we're here.
Yes.
And we want to make sure that more women are actually aware that this is really important that they listen up to. Because culturally speaking, in terms of our conditioning, we go, me, tech is boring, or it's just some new crap in the media, or whatever, the exposure to that mass media and that understanding that, you know, whatever, I'm just going to get on with my super busy day and all the hats that we wear, that we actually need to sit up, listen, and actually be part of it, because it's that apathy that we spoke about last night in the panel as well, that who gives a fuckerism, that is actually going to be our undoing again.
Yes. Yeah, actually, I would say we're in the moment of stepping into our leadership.
Yes.
This is really where we stand in the light that we are.
Yes. Yes, absolutely. We see a shift in energy globally where the feminine is rising to balance the masculine. It's not about overtaking, it's not about undoing anything, but it's shifting into a new energy where we're balanced and can move forward together and build this beautiful, harmonious environment that we can work together in. And that's, exciting stuff.
I think the balance is really important, because I think only 8% of crypto buyers are women, and that's this year. Last year was only 3%, so that we're seeing a big shift. And I think being around these projects, being a woman and bringing in operational and HR and all these other things while they're thinking about technology and ideas, you can really balance some of the opportunities by bringing good business skills and bringing a softer thought and bringing an opportunity to sell these things to the other side of the market, which they're not thinking about. So we really are balancing it out.
And there was an interesting perspective shared about how the women are the decision makers with money in the household.
Yes.
So really, we need to know about this stuff because we're the ones making those decisions.
One thing I've really noticed about, the cryptocurrency and blockchain space is it's incredibly welcoming, not just for men but for women as well. And the minute you cross that line and you become a believer and an understander, you're part of it. So I think it's just sometimes it's our own fear or our own inability to bring more women into the space. We all have a responsibility. Bring our friends, tell them the stories, open their eyes. I love it when I go to a party and they go, "What do you mean you mine Bitcoin? What does that mean? You create it?" There's so much we can share, and talking about the conscious level and talking about the responsibilities. It's such an amazing journey that we have a responsibility once we're in it to grow it.
Yes. And what about the fact that, this particular conference is very heavily biased towards cryptocurrencies, which on that note, in terms of the family budget, if women just get to know that they can buy a fraction, you can buy like $20 worth, you can buy $100 worth, you don't have to be a millionaire to get into it. But on the other hand, what about all the amazing humanitarian, heartfelt, heart-centered projects which have, two things of bugger all necessarily to do with?
Well, I was actually speaking to Joe last night about Joe has introduced it a little bit, but you single mum, had your own business, $1,000 of your profits had to go to paying the bank. So I think I'd love for you to share,
in terms of bank fees.
In terms of bank fees,
I've had small businesses. Most recent, turnover wasn't massive and margins are very small. On the first of every month, check your bank account the next day and at least $1,000 would have come out in merchant fees, which is, I guess, one of the reasons why I'm passionate about the project that I'm working for. Is because one of our things is 1 cent transactions. So that $1,000 a month that I was paying, which was a big deal for me at the time.
It was it's a big deal for me right now.
And that's just a small business, That would have been reduced to a maximum of maybe $50, which is such a high impact when you're just sort of scraping by to support your family as it is. So that, I guess, is one of the reasons why I'm quite passionate about the project.
And crypto. And I just wanted to bring awareness that if we can get women to share their projects, because there needs to be more women in projects, so that they're on board and they can share with their friends and family why it's changing the world.
What about projects like Karma Pay? So that's a gorgeous man called Pete Wynn, and he has created this app. It's in development, but they're also testing it out at certain cafes and things. But there's an app that you can download, and at participating merchants, when you go to pay for a coffee, the bank fees, instead of going to the bankers, so I want to use a W in there, and they go to Karma Pay, and then Karma Pay redirects a portion of those fees to charities in alignment with their values that are building schools in developing countries. Now, who doesn't want to help develop a school in a developing country with money that you would have spent anyway?
I also really want to congratulate you on your presentation yesterday about teaching kids about crypto, because I think to your point about training, my son, he loves to talk about cryptocurrency, but now I'm going to go home and get him a digital wallet and he's going to get pocket money in crypto, because I just think that's fantastic. Because he'll learn about, where that money can go and what it can do. And we're educating a whole nother level of, and they'll grow up thinking that this is normal. Cryptocurrency, it's just a normal currency. And I love that you guys are doing that.
Well, it's such an interesting universal thing too, because we spoke to Alexandra Tinson of NEM in North America, and she said that her 13-year-old just decided, he did all this research, he got himself some crypto, he sold out in the height of the boom, and then he put himself through coding classes.
Oh, wow.
And teaching other kids similar things. So it is a collective, and it's like you don't think that the problems you're experiencing other women are experiencing, but then when you actually talk about it, you realise that everyone has got a similar pain point. That's why people can sell shit to us.
And talking about children and the next generation rising up, well, I've got 2 grandchildren, 6 and 4.
What?
And and both of them have an Exodus wallet and both of them have cryptocurrency in it.
Right.
So one of the things Kelly and I love to say to women about budgeting is dollar cost averaging, how every week you can just, it doesn't matter where the market is, you just buy in at that market, and if their mother continues to buy in at that market for them, you know, by the time they even understand what money is, they've got already a foot in the door, so to say, a step up.
There's this really cool thing that says, what do grandparents, and why do grandparents and grandchildren have such a great relationship? Because they've got a common enemy. But when you've got teenagers, it makes sense. It makes dollars.
That's beautiful, you know, carrying forward from what you said, is that for me, I'm way more into underlying blockchain technology and its potentials for the world, but I'm very appreciative of crypto being the lead. And the thing about crypto, and with young people as well, is you can't get into the space without asking the question, what is money? Yes. And that's the red pill. And you can escape this cultural overlay that sits so heavily on so many of us, because you can't go down this rabbit hole without asking that question. And even if you're, 15 or 16 or 10, you will ask that question at some point. Yeah.
Can you explain the concept of the red pill, JP?
Oh, yes. So in the movie The Matrix, the option is given to the hero whether to take the blue pill, which would keep him in the illusion in which he presently lives, which is a completely controlled environment, very safe, very secure, very convenient, very deadening.
We know that.
Or on the other hand, was the red pill, which is the truth, may not be pretty, but you get to be who you are and embrace your own gifts. So he's given the choice, comfort and security or freedom, which one do you want? So the red pill is that.
And that's become a bit of a symbol in this conference, hasn't it? People talk about the red pill and the waking up of consciousness, and if we continue just to keep doing what we're doing, something has to break, right? Yeah. So we have to wake up.
Yeah, we're at potentially an extinction level moment for the species. And this is why I, too, am passionate for the human to come forward. Because as Garrett said this morning, we can be most appreciative that technology has gotten us to the place where we are. It comes with a great number of blessings. And we're standing on the shoulders of giants, right? And this interconnected world has been made possible by that. But it's also kind of come to the end of its cycle. And it's starting to now siphon from the world more than it gives back. And we could actually be allowing the overtaking of what I call a stupid virus. A stupid virus is one that kills the host, right? So you don't want that. We need some healing to occur at this point. So we're at this moment, and when we step into our leadership, what we care about, and return to our hearts, we have the option to turn the ship around. And I think it will take all of us, men and women, to do this.
Yes. Thank you. What I'm really excited about is how, as women, because like it or not, we're at the head of the family in many ways. And for me, when I got into the space, I was like, it's not just about cryptocurrency. It's not just about blockchain. It's actually bringing my daughter into the awareness, not just about money, but about technology and having control over the technology that will rule her life. So we've started doing Python coding with this tutor girl online, like all the time. And we're learning together as a mum and daughter about technology, because I've never done programming and it's all new. And there is a statistic, I don't know it exactly, but women are very good at language, we're very good at speaking. So as programmers, as developers, we can actually do a really good job. And if we're perfectionists, we might actually do better than some of the programmers that are out there at the moment.
There was a Node Girls gathering in Perth recently. Sellout. Complete sellout for JavaScript training.
Oh my God.
It was awesome.
And how old were the girls?
Everybody. I mean, it was all ages. It was just all women. And they came in for a full day Saturday to go from HTML to JavaScript. It was fabulous.
Wow. Amazing.
Closing comments. What have we got to say in terms of where we're heading and how do we feel about things?
Feeling absolutely positive. I think being here this weekend has taken certainly Lisa and I to a new level of being more bold and speaking about consciousness and crypto and just having those two worlds merge. And that's what we talk about in our book, but we kind of hide it under a little bushel a bit.
Can you say the title of your book?
Our book is called Love and Money, Embracing the New Economy.
This is my first conference summit gathering with like-minded crypto and blockchain people. And I'm pleasantly surprised because it wasn't very pleasant for women, apparently, in different conferences, blockchain crypto. So I'm really, really happy. And I feel like we're trendsetters.
Yes.
I went home last night and absolutely exhausted, obviously, as we all are. It's been full-on experience, but I still couldn't get straight to sleep because I was super excited about the experiences I've already had and really motivated to move forward. I want to educate myself more. I'm so excited to educate my daughters as well, just the little things. But also I was coming here more so expecting a real money-focused summit and to experience different talks about environmental issues and, things that we can help in other areas to make the world a better place forward. It has really been heartwarming as well.
I want to thank the Circle of Women for making it so awesome. And I just want to encourage us to keep talking and not worry if we're going to sound not as smart as some of these tech head men. We just got to keep bringing it to the people and making it real. I get upset when people say I'm avoiding that conference because it was less than 50% women speakers, but that's actually adding to the problem. Let's just keep putting our hands up. Let's just keep speaking. Anook's speaking at a conference in a couple of weeks, and he said, I need a woman. I said, let me come with you. You'll say all the really techie stuff and I'll make it sound like simple, and we'll work together and we'll be a really good team.
You're the translator.
As scary as it's been to get up and speak, it's taken me a year nearly to be able to do it. Let's all just keep doing it,
Yeah, so mine, it's probably along the lines of yours, is that I think one of the greatest gifts that we have as women is that we are normal. And
they're not.
How are people that are really techie and not that they're corporate, but they've got that feel about them, supposed to get to the people down here? You know what I mean? And we're the bridge. We're the bridge between that world and this world, and block consciousness, bringing that together, just kind of sums up exactly what women do for the world. Yeah. I'm very passionate about women.
And I would say that women open consciousness.
Yes, see, yes.
So what I would say, as someone who's coming into Australia from Bali, and I wasn't expecting to find what I found in Australia in this space. I walked into a party, a charity fundraiser on the West Coast, and there were 450 people at it. And this electric energy, which is just wonderful. And now as I've come across to the other side of the country, I'm confirmed in my assessment initially that something extremely special is going on here. So that this conference, I think, also is pretty uniquely Australian in my experience so far in the industry. There is something very amazing happening here. And I'm really delighted to see the inclusiveness of this community in general. So I just want to reflect on that and celebrate all of you for holding what you are holding.
And everyone at the conference has just been amazing.
Yes,
yes.
we have.
How are you feeling being at conference?
An experience here. I'm also a crew as well, and I don't really know much about cryptocurrency. Over here, I get to know a lot of that hard stuff and and the soft stuff, and also got to think about how I'm going to explore into cryptocurrency or blockchain. I'm most interested in how we can remain anonymous, because over here in Australia, everything is screened by the government, even the banking and the tax. So for myself, I have a concern that I don't want to be tracked. So I've been trying to discover how to do it anonymously. Just like Satoshi Nakamoto, he opened his account without nobody knowing who he is. And he goes so huge trader and everybody just know, okay, this guy is well known but nobody knows him. And then even financial institution called the Living Room of Satoshi, which they do a lot of shopping and stuff through their banking system. And I got to find out that, they're also connected to the bank. It's also can be traced. So that is also another concern. Okay, I'm not interested in doing that. I changed like the Binance, and I found out that they actually are able to open in Australia. Only the Australian government only allowed them only within the local market, not international market. And then I found out from another guy, his name is Kosh Pran. I think you guys learned from him. So I got to know Kosh many months ago at another one of these blockchain meetup. And I got into a conversation with him on how to open the anonymous account. I was very interested in it because the time frame was very brief, so we didn't get into a long conversation. But yesterday I got into teaching how to do it. So at some point I'll get in contact with him and get to do it. So because this is an area where everybody will be very interested in, because we don't want the government seeing what we are doing. Yeah.
Conference has it been for you being at the conference?
Oh, it's been awesome. It's been a real eye-opener, and it's amazing what you don't know. And the more you become aware of what you don't know, it's amazing, how much you discover. So it's been a real eye-opener. It's been fantastic to have an event with so many people living the robotic world that we have people living out there and are actually stepping outside the square and doing things differently. I think it's about time, and the more awareness we can get out about this kind of stuff, about cryptocurrencies, about actually taking control of our finances so that people don't get ripped off so much by the traditional banking system and by governments. And around health, what you mentioned earlier about vaccinations, that is massive. It's amazing how many side effects are now coming out with kids that are getting vaccinated, being forced to vaccinate here in Australia. I think it's absolutely disgusting. And
pro-choice.
And
choice.
Yes, I think absolutely. And there are apparently homeopathic vaccinations that are okay. Apparently there's some vaccinations that are okay for people that are into vaccinations. However, a lot of the mainstream vaccinations, as far as I'm aware, are very poisonous and very harmful. I've got some friends from Real News Australia actually that are doing a documentary about the side effects of some of the traditional vaccinations that are out there, and kids that were very normal turned very abnormal as soon as they had their vaccination. So there's a lot of evidence out there that a lot of the vaccinations are not working and are actually dumbing down our kids. It's scary. It's actually scary what's out there. However, with awareness and do your own research, don't believe what we're saying here. Always encourage people to do your own research and don't just follow the mass media agenda.
So in terms of Blockconscious and being a woman present at this space, you've had a role of being media and taking photographs and you're reporting, so you've got a vastly powerful communication, but you haven't said anything yet, so it's been really awesome to hear your words.
Yeah, thank you. I've been behind the scenes. I've been doing a few Facebook Lives, and we had a mention on Triple Z today, which is awesome. So alternative radio, community radio, mentioned the Blockconscious event today, and I'm going to be doing a live stream from Tech Webcast, which is a show that I co-host with 3 other guys. I'm going to do a live stream through Tech Webcast today, so I'd love to interview you guys for that. And really it is about increasing awareness, increasing knowledge so that people can make informed choices and not just be brainwashed by the government agendas and, like things like 9/11. I'm absolutely shocked when I looked into what actually happened with 9/11. The number of times we saw those planes go into those buildings, to do a bit more research and discover footage that was never shown in mainstream media, and to actually consider that that was an inside job. And a lot of people don't want to believe that it's an inside job, that the American government would do that to its own people and cover it with a whole lot of lies. I was absolutely flabbergasted. And as soon as I saw that, and again, don't take my word for it, go do your own research. As soon as I saw that, I started to open my eyes to other things like chemtrails, and there's just so much out there. Microchipping, they're really wanting to take control of our minds, our bodies. They don't want people to step outside the square, to expand their consciousness. They want people, as David Icke said with an interview that I did with him on Truth Expose TV, one of my shows, he said what's happening now is truth vibrations. A lot of people are living this postage stamp view of normal, what they consider normal, and the powers that be, the few that control the world, want us to believe that we are small and that we can't actually create change. Whereas if the 10% who are expressing their full creativity and are stepping out of the square, if they actually make a stand, they will have a ripple effect on the other 90% who are
perhaps brainwashed and don't realise they're being brainwashed. Yeah. So I can talk a lot on this topic. I think it's really important to just do that research, and thank goodness for the new media out there now, that people are actually creating their own media, and hence there's more truth coming out now. So it's very powerful, and what you guys are doing is great too. So great to see so many women in the crypto space.
Well, I'm going to have my turn. I'll keep it brief, but I wanted to say, and it was reiterating what was said in the Crypto and Kids presentation, that I feel like by getting the information through to women, not only are we affecting family household budgets and letting that small trickle feed of redirection of funds happen, and therefore potentially, no promises, but potentially empowering families financially, future-proofing families for the future, whatever, you know what I'm trying to say. Yeah. But also that through that, because we love to chat, because we like to communicate, because we have circles, not squares. What is it? Outside the circle? Well, we probably do. But, it's inclusive. It's about curves. Some cares more than others. Anyway, it's super exciting for us to have brought all these wonderful women together. We're really sorry for those women that we wanted to have here, but we couldn't get to. I also wanted to let people know that each and every one of these women in the room are available for speaking at your event. Thank you all very, very much for being here.
Thank you so much.
Pleasure. And let's do this again.
Yes.
Right, well, if that wasn't a group of women nattering on a couple of couches, what was? I ask you, what was, lady?
Yeah, I really enjoyed that. And I don't think I've ever sat down on a couch like that. I don't know about you, but I've never sat down on a couch with that many women speaking bluntly and honestly about an experience or whatever. Like, I just don't sit down with that many women ever.
I think what that summit gave us the opportunity, we're like sort of a minority in a group of men, and the men were fabulous. Most of them were great.
Oh, that was so good. So lovely.
So many lovely men. But what was something, there was a real sisterhood that was created there. And because you and I were quite playful, it was a bit noisy at times. We were like, come on, girls, come and sit down the front. And literally at one point, there was like an entire row of women in the front row. We're like, women to the front, women to the front. And that whole hashtag went completely feral after that summit, because everybody was going women to the front. And I think Blockconscious actually became quite well known for that cheeky kind of feminine presence that was there.
I think so too. I think we took it to the next level because some people told us that there weren't enough women, and we were there to say, well, if you think there's not enough women, the women that are here are going to speak extra, extra loud. So you're going to hear us.
It was really rocking, and we actually had so much fun, didn't we? I mean, one of my favorite parts of that whole thing were you and I coming back to our Airbnb at the end of the night and just unpacking the conversations we had and, you know, detailing some of the intricate aspects of the interactions. Yes, there were amazing speakers. There were far too many speakers for me to digest. I was, you know,
yeah.
As they say in Italian, le saricinesche vengono giù, you know, that the blinds have come down, and I was sitting there going, oh man, you know, give my brain a break. But whoa, I loved it. And what I really loved was how the women were there for each other. They really supported each other.
I left there wanting to go back, and it's just as well because there is another Blockconscious next year and we are media partners. And although there's no tickets yet, if you email us, we will share with you the tickets as soon as they come out. We'll put you on a list of people who want to go to Blockconscious.
That's a really good point, yeah.
And we want to see you there. We want to see you there, ladies. We don't really mind where you live. Just jump on a plane because we've got that technology now where you can literally fly across the world and hang out with us.
And that's what we did. I mean, I jumped on a plane and went over there, and I ended up winning a free Trezor because I was the person who travelled the longest on that particular day.
Yes! So you might win something too.
I just wanted to mention to everyone, we've had some really fabulous iTunes love lately. We've been asking people to go in there, write us a review and give us 5 stars. The more people that are reporting in there and just giving us some feedback on the clothesline, it's really gratifying for us, obviously, but it also helps other people to find the podcast. The more people that like, review and give us a rating, the more that Apple will release that podcast to other people searching for the information that we're sharing.
And not only that, if you can find it in your heart to jump on our very recently refurbished Patreon site, patreon.com/crypto-clothesline. Pretty easy to remember. I won't say it in slow motion because it was pretty easy. You can also become a supporter of Crypto Clothesline there as well. So you can leave us a review, you can support us on Patreon, and there's heaps of little gifts that we can give you for supporting us. And yeah, we would love to hear from you there as well.
And Patreon is something that I had never heard of. So in case there are people listening who are not sort of seasoned podcasters, Patreon is a place where you can basically go in and offer to pay anywhere from a couple of bucks to say $20 a month, whatever you feel comfortable with. And as Amy Rose said, depending on the level and your choice of commitment, you actually get various lurks and perks that come back to you. And it's our way of saying thank you so much for supporting the show.
And on that note, Abheeti, I'm going to love you and leave you and support you from a distance.
All right, well, I'm going to go and finish the 98,000th blog that I have to do for this week.
Okay, have fun with that.
Bye.
Bye.
Hi, you've called Abheeti
And Amy Rose
at Crypto
Clothesline.
Leave a message after the
beep. Okay, 3, 2, 1. Ready?
Now, you ladies were talking to a lovely lady called Zia, and it is a little confusing to me that, although she seems like a lovely person, that she would be interested in what did you say it was called? Tokenizing travel. You know, we have had credit cards for quite some time, and I've always found it perfectly satisfactory to pay for my cruise or my trip on the ferry in credit. You can actually do that on the line these days. I don't know if you girls are up with technology. And you could also go to your local travel agent and pay for it there too. So the whole idea of having to have tokens feels a little bit to me like reinventing the wheel.
Crypto